And welcome back. Well, May is National Skin Cancer Month, and traditionally the first Monday of May is Melanoma Monday.
Dr. James Lynott is here from Dermatology Associates of Wisconsin to help us learn more about this potentially fatal form of skin cancer. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
In fact, is skin cancer, it's one of the top 2 or 3 most common cancers, right?
Well, skin cancer in general is by far the most common type of cancer, but the serious one we're talking about today is melanoma, which is the 7th most common cancer of all cancers. 1 person dies every hour from melanoma in the United States of America.
So not all skin cancer is melanoma?
No, there's 3 main types of skin cancer. The 2 more common types are basal cell skin cancer, usually little pearly nodules on the face or arms. There's a more warty type called squamous cell skin cancer, and then there's melanoma, which usually come from moles or dark spots on the skin.
Melanoma Monday, is there a way to what's the best way to diagnose melanoma, I should say? How do you know, what does it look like?
Well, observation. Everyone, once a month when you get out of the shower, should look at themselves head to toe in a mirror, examine all dark spots, freckles, anything that looks like it's changing. Then with a handheld mirror, look at the back of your neck, lower back, buttocks, legs, hands and feet, and don't forget about the palms and the soles. Very important.
Well, and a lot of times you even find little moles in between your fingers and in between your toes. You know, and I'm one of those people, I always talk to Molly about, I'm so afraid of skin cancer, mainly because I'm super fair skin. I have burned several times in life because most of my family has very dark skin that tans easily, so they didn't know how to deal with a fair-skinned child. And you know, what kind of risk factors do we have in terms of if you've burned once or burned twice? Are these scare tactics or are they real?
No, they're real. There's definitely a cumulative factor of getting sun on the skin leading to skin cancer. They've shown studies that show that the fairer someone is or the latitude which they live are highly indicative of they're going to get more skin cancer. It's a huge national epidemic in places like Australia and New Zealand, where you've moved a very light-skinned population to basically a tropical island. But again, the most important thing is just observation, noticing changes. We look for like asymmetry, irregular borders, irregular coloration and diameter. And of course, if you notice something's changing or growing, go see your local dermatologist and have it checked out.
What I think is amazing is a statistic that I read that you gave us. It says the overall 5-year survival rate for melanoma is 91%, but if caught early, the 5-year survival rate is 97%.
Actually, over 98 in one study, but yeah. If they're caught early, stage 1 or 1A, just contained to the top layers of the skin, it's essentially curable. So you want to go and catch it early, have it diagnosed properly, and then taken care of.
Do you ever need to worry if you go in, you have a mole checked, and they say, oh, it's fine, just leave it? Should you push to have it removed, or should you always just kind of say, okay, it's fine?
No, because there's actually a big push by lots of people to every little spot on their skin removed, and that's not necessary. So use different tools. One of the ones I like to use is called a dermatoscope. It's basically a magnifying glass with a bright light that can very easily determine the pigment pattern of something. And
do that one more time if you would.
And it may make it easier to a trained eye to determine whether the pigment pattern is irregular, irregular, whether or not it needs to be removed or not.
Let's talk about prevention too, because you brought 2 things. One is a chapstick, because I think a lot of people forget their lips when it comes to sunscreen. And then you brought, what is the best kind of sunscreen for people to look for?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a common misconception. People always tell me, oh, if it's over SPF 30 or 50, it doesn't matter. Well, it is an active scientific number to how well the sunscreen blocks UVB light, but that's only half the story. We have 2 types of ultraviolet radiation, UVA and UVB. So it's important to find something that's broad spectrum, at least an SPF 30. But the most important thing with any sunscreen is to reapply. Sunscreens start to lose their efficacy after about 2 hours, and especially if you're swimming or doing active water sports. They may claim to be waterproof, but they're not towel proof, or if you're out running on a jet ski, sometimes the high velocity water may wipe it off the skin. So it's important to remember to reapply every 2 hours.
And why did you bring hats?
Because I saw the hat
you went
had
to the
earlier.
Derby.
Yes, well, I am a horse racing fan, but people forget. I mean, the best thing is actually just sun avoidance. There is sun protective clothing. A white T-shirt is an SPF of 4. People can get burnt right through a light color or white T-shirt, and if a wet white T-shirt's worn, it has an SPF of close to 0.
But we all look better when we're tan.
Well, that's a common misconception. In fact, if you
I had to say it.
If you look at pictures from like a little bit over 100 years ago, the old pictures of the ladies in Paris or London, they all had their parasols. It was actually much more customary to be white back then. It's the movie industry and of the 1920s and all Hollywood and the glam that everyone wanted to be tan like the movie stars.
Yeah.
So since then, people have wanted to have that healthy glow or tan, but it's really not healthy.
Yeah.
So you're fine with just a cosmetic tanner versus
Yes,
real
they're very
tan?
safe. There's sunless tanners. There's numerous ones out on the market now. You can go to a booth and have like the Mystic Tan put on, or there's several over the counter. The best way, you have to be very careful. If you overdo it too quickly, you get very orangey. So what is key is to apply a thin layer multiple nights in a row until you get your desired level of.
There you go.
Of
There's
that
your
glow.
cosmetic
That
tip for
healthy
the
glow.
day.
But yes,
We wanted to
protection is very key.
There
I
you
love
go.
that.
Looks good. You're ready for the Derby. We wanted to mention the Ann's Hope Foundation 9th Annual Block Melanoma Run and Walk. That's happening Sunday, May 19th at the Milwaukee County Zoo. There's a 5K run and a 3K walk. You can find out more by going to annshope.org. And to find out more about Dermatology Associates of Wisconsin, because you should have your moles checked regularly, probably at least once a year if you have concerns or had frequent burns when you were younger. 1-855-DERM-WIS, and there's the website there on the screen too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, doctor.
Thank you for
Nice
having
to
me.
have you on the show.